After an awesome XFL game and an insane NHL and NBA playoffs happening at the moment, even though my Seattle Kraken lost in a tragic Game 7 against the stupid Dallas Stars. With all aside that and baseball having its shine, the NFL has been a little quiet and kind of in like the Sahara Desert of news, which there hasn't been any.
I would say
this guy.
Since the NFL draft a couple weeks ago.
We finna score all night. We scoring all night.
And with sports at an all-time high today, we're going to go through a journey throughout this summer to the NFL season. So make sure to smash that like and subscribe button as we're going to go through each division, talking about each team and what they did in the offseason, what they did in the draft, who did they sign, etc. before the NFL season starts. So let's talk about it. While going through the offseason for the NFL this year, there were some crazy signings and moves happening all around the league, with quarterbacks moving to new spots and some staying after some drama with contracts and other rumors surrounding them. Though I don't think there was anything like the story with the Aaron Rodgers situation going to the Jets this offseason. Now, I followed it pretty well while watching the Pat McAfee show, especially during Aaron's interviews, where he basically told the whole timeline of what actually happened. All about the darkness retreat and how the Packers essentially didn't want him anymore because of, number one, Jordan Love and essentially starting him for their future and moving on from Aaron, and two, Aaron Rodgers was taking way too long, I guess, with his decision to end up retiring or not. Now, he's in New York playing for the Jets, and honestly, I'm loving it. Not only from how he looks in that New York Jets uniform, which is most definitely an upgrade coming from Green Bay, but also, he's going to be on a really, really good team from last year despite the quarterback play. Now, Zach Wilson has not been the guy New York has wanted him to be, and you can even ask the fans.
You want a chance to punt here or just take...
Along with the fact that he couldn't take accountability for his losses, it just seemed like he needed some guidance and focus away from the MILFs. The Jets offense, despite Zach Wilson though, is still very gifted and a perfect fit for Aaron Rodgers. Not only is he bringing Randall Cobb and Allen Lazard from Green Bay, but he's also going to have a flashy wide receiver in Garrett Wilson coming into his second season after winning Offensive Rookie of the Year last season. Lining up alongside Wilson is McCole Hardman from Kansas City and running back Bryce Hall, who's going to be great in the run but also in the short game for Aaron to dump the ball to him on certain plays. And he's going to have his old offensive coordinator who recently had a stint over in Denver with Russell Wilson, Nathaniel Hackett. Now, Nathaniel Hackett, as an offensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, served Aaron Rodgers well. So, this is going to be essentially the same offense for Aaron. He's not going to have to learn a brand new offense, which is going to be awesome for him. But despite the offense maybe looking good and maybe looking perfect enough for Aaron Rodgers, the defense did most of the talking last season. And coming into the season, they have absolute studs on each level of that unit. In the secondary, you obviously have the 2022 Defensive Rookie of the Year for the New York Jets, Sauce Gardner, alongside DJ Reed and Chuck Clark. Then up front you have Quinnen Williams, who has had a massive jump in production as he recorded a career high last season in sacks with 12, though hopefully the Jets will re-sign him soon as he's scheduled to be an unrestricted free agent next offseason. Because losing a monster like Williams, who not only can get to the passer but also mainly stuff the running backs all throughout the NFL, as Williams did have a career high as well last season with 12 tackles for loss. Alongside Williams, they also drafted a stud coming off the edge with Will McDonald, who's getting a lot of praise coming out of Iowa State, being at the 15th pick in the draft. The Jets rightfully do have a lot of hype surrounding them coming into the season because this is their first time the Jets have had a guy since Brett Favre and Joe Namath. Aaron coming in is definitely going to shake things up in the AFC, and I can definitely see them winning the division outright if everything works out perfectly. But we have seen this happen before, where we expect players that go somewhere else to a new scenario and do amazing and then end up shitting the bed. So with that being said, will the Jets be the Jets? We'll see.
Stupid thing.
We'll also see if Bill Belichick still has the magic as a head coach in the NFL because of the lack of success since the GOAT Tom Brady left Boston. With wide receiver issues and not having an actual offensive coordinator in the building running an actual offense, the Patriots have struggled pretty bad, to say the least. Hopefully, though, with Bill O'Brien coming back to the Bills coaching staff, quarterback Mac Jones will be able to have a bounce-back season, and we will know whether he's actually good or not to play in the league. To help Mac, the Patriots signed wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster, coming from Kansas, leading the Chiefs wide receivers there in yards and receptions, as he recorded 78 catches for 933 yards after having a rough time in Pittsburgh. With his explosiveness and big playability, he's going to automatically be one of Mac's top targets, taking Jacoby Myers' spot as Myers goes to Las Vegas. Tight end Mike Gesicki is going to be another great pickup for the Patriots offense, replacing Jonnu Smith. Mike is coming from the Miami offense, as he's had a pretty solid career despite last season, but that was because the offense of Miami was surrounded by Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle taking the spotlight. So having another opportunity to shine with Mac Jones is going to be a win-win scenario for both parties. And with the staying weapons like tight end Hunter Henry and Devontae Parker, and their 1,000-yard rusher and running back Ramondre Stevenson, the offense is honestly destined to do way better than what two defensive coordinators did previously. On the defensive side, the number 8 ranked defense is coming in with a massive chip on their shoulders, trying to repeat what they did last year defensively, with linebacker Matthew Judon leading the defense with 15.5 sacks, as well as Josh Ook having 11 sacks. During the draft, the Patriots added to that defense as they selected defensive back Christian Gonzalez from Oregon to pair up with a veteran cornerback in Jonathan Jones, leading the team last year in picks with 4. Essentially, the Patriots need their offense to perform at the same level as their defense in order to win games, and we need to see Mac Jones make the same plays we've seen flashes of throughout his entire NFL career, because not only is the season going to be on the line, but his career in New England could potentially be on the line as well. Going back down south in Miami, we have the Dolphins, who had a very interesting season last year, where it ended during the shootout wildcard game against the division rival Buffalo Bills, when the Dolphins almost won 34-31, while starting their backup quarterback Skylar Thompson. And the reason for that was because Tua was not able to play due to the multiple concussions that he suffered after taking so many sacks last season. A lot of the Dolphins' success this season is going to be ultimately determined on if Tua can play or not, for the mere fact that he makes them better as the leader of that team, coming off his best year yet when he was on the field playing. The Dolphins added some firepower while letting some go this offseason, as they grabbed wide receiver Chosen Anderson and Braxton Berrios, adding some more speed to their already fast offense, throwing for over 3,500 passing yards, 25 touchdowns, and only 8 interceptions. With more time with Hill, Waddle, and all those other receivers that they picked up, those numbers are hopefully, surely gonna improve. Defensively, the Dolphins had a massive pickup this offseason, as all-pro cornerback Jalen Ramsey got traded from the LA Rams to Miami, coming off having 8 picks and 34 pass deflections in the last 2 seasons with the LA Rams, while already having a stud secondary, with Xavier Howard being one of the best ball-hawking corners in the NFL, and having their 2 young safeties from Oregon with Javon Holland, and having a guy like Jalen Ramsey pairing up with Xavier Howard, who's already established himself as a #1 cornerback for the Dolphins, just makes your secondary even better, and they could possibly have the best secondary next season for sure. Which leaves us with our last team, which was last year's AFC East Division champions, the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills had to go through some adversity while going through last season, as they, had to play in a different city for one of their games because their own stadium wasn't safe enough to play in because they had a severe snowstorm at the time. They had to cancel the game midway through an important game against the Cincinnati Bengals at the end of the season due to the Damar Hamlin situation. And now they have to go through even more adversity as they're trying to get back into the AFC title picture with much more competition looking to take them down. After being eliminated in a disappointing divisional round by the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow, the Buffalo Bills seemed to really just regroup over the offseason, bringing back faces like linebacker Matt Milano, who was second on the team in tackles and was the only defender to score a defensive touchdown. Also, the Buffalo Bills brought back all-pro safety Jordan Poyer after getting a Pro Bowl nod after leading the Buffalo Bills with 4 interceptions. Keeping those pieces are so vital and important for that team to keep that core group of leaders and veterans and continue their style of defense that dominated the league last year, being second in points allowed. And with the development of AJ Epineza and Ed Oliver on the D-line, with Von Miller coming off the edge, the defense is going to continue being great, hopefully, even with the loss of their defensive coordinator this year, Leslie Frazier, as he takes a year off for personal reasons. And even with the Bills keeping a bunch of their players in the offseason, they did make a little splash in free agency with the additions of safety Taylor Rapp coming from the Rams, adding to that secondary as he's a hard-hitting, ball-hawking safety. Defensive tackle Poona Ford got added up front to help stuff those runs, and then they signed running back Damian Harris from New England to beef up their running back room, as the running backs for Buffalo haven't been too hot for them in that frozen tundra. The Bills did sign a wide receiver this offseason, but it was Trent Sherfield out of Miami. It would have been nice to see another big target for Josh Allen to throw to besides Stephon Diggs and Gabriel Davis. They did draft a tight end in the first round though, being Dalton Kincaid, to pair up with Dawson Knox, who already had 500 receiving yards last season. Now, the Buffalo Bills are still a really good team and definitely a contender for the AFC title picture, but with even more competition they'll receive this season, the amount of contenders there are now, it's going to be very difficult to get through this AFC East division, let alone the whole AFC. Which brings me to how I think it'll look for the AFC East by the end of this next season. So, in last place, I'd put the New England Patriots. Now not saying that they're going to have a bad season, I don't at all. But I'm going to put them in the 8 to 9 win range. With the new additions that they have offensively, it should improve Mac Jones' game. But Mac Jones does have a lot to prove this season as the quarterback, and I don't think that they're close to winning anything yet, especially when Josh Allen is still going to be the quarterback for the Buffalo Bills. And with the new additions like Jalen Ramsey coming into the division for Miami, or Aaron Rodgers coming into the division from New York, I mean, it's just too tall of a task for them. And speaking of Miami, in third, I'm putting the Dolphins in there, and I see them on the same level as the Patriots, so honestly, you could switch them from either spot. They both have young quarterbacks that need to prove that they can become the face of their franchises. I'd say that applies more to Miami because we need to see how Tua is going to perform after getting all those concussions from last season. Though, if the offense is going to be rolling like it was when everyone was healthy at the beginning of the year, they could have 9 to 10 wins. Which brings us to the second place spot. And in second place, I'm gonna say the New York Jets. Now, that could change if Aaron Rodgers becomes that
bad man. I believe in him. I believe he's going to show up this weekend and remind the football world just who the hell he is.
And helps the offense, because that's really all they needed last season for the Jets, was that guy who could be consistent and make important throws every single game in the big moments. Look, I don't think a lot of people do remember this, but they were 6-3 at the beginning of the season before they won their last one of 8, ending the season with a 7-10 record. They are a good team overall, and with the additions of Aaron Rodgers and that defense looking to wreak havoc again, they should have at least 11 wins, and maybe they could win the division depending on how the Bills play this season. Which brings me to the first place team, who I think is going to be winning the AFC East again, if everything goes well, the Buffalo Bills. Now look, the Bills were the second best team in the AFC last year and did not lose anyone in the offseason that could diminish their team. The only way the Bills lose is if the Bills themselves screw it up, because their roster is riddled with talent all around, despite a third wide receiver to push them forward against the Bengals or the Kansas City Chiefs. But when you still have a guy at the quarterback spot like Josh Allen, the Bills are going to be completely fine this year, and they're obviously going to be making the playoffs. All right, and that's going to end the video for this week. Keep an eye out for the up and coming weeks, as I'm going to be doing each division of the NFL season. So next week, I'm going to be doing the NFC North. So keep an eye out for that next week. Thank you for clicking on today's video. If you liked it, please hit the like and subscribe button and leave a comment down below on what your thoughts are. And have a good one.